This Atlantean recipe is calling for cybers? Hello YouTube, it is RainingCardGames. Been a minute. Sorry a little bit for the slight delay in the series coming out. I know I like to stick to that 2-week release ratio, but I've been in the process of moving. Notice different RCG studio. So yeah, a little bit of delays in terms of production, but with that being said, don't worry, we are back and we are trying something different today. So, as I was in the process of moving and everything, and it's like, okay, I've got some product and stuff, but as I was also digging through my collection, I noticed that I have a decent Marincess pool. Obviously, opening an entire box of Duels from the Deep along with other water support, I think I could potentially, do a little Marincess side quest. Doesn't hurt to find out. So that's actually what we're going to do today. We are going to open up the collection, sift through all of the Marincess and water support that we have, and we are actually going to see if we can't build an Atlantean Marincess deck. So yeah, if this interests you, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And without further ado, it's time to dig through the collection. Well, as you can see, we actually have a solid core of a Marincess deck. We have the end finisher with Argonaut. We have plenty of extension. We essentially have all the link 1s, the 2s that we can do to climb on up. We've got... Essentially, our extra deck is pretty much all there. I would like maybe to have a Stealth Kraken. Maybe that's something I'm going to want down the line regardless if I stick with Marincess, Mermail, or Umi engine for this Atlantean build. But in either case, extra deck looks great. Side deck, maybe a couple tweaks that we could move here and there, but all in all, solid tools. Main deck wise as well, we have all the starters that we could ever want and ask for. We've got plenty of hand traps to draw into, to extend with in terms of Great Bubble Leaf, Banishing, drawing. So we have pretty much a full-on constructed Marincess deck, missing a few pieces here and there. Let's see how it does in not 1, not 2, not 3, but 5 jewels. Alrighty, so for match number 1, we are going up against Dragoonity. You know all, this is a personal favorite of mine. I know how the deck works, so hopefully I can hit the choke points. I'm able to stop the first Dragon Ravine, but guess what? There's a second. And luckily, however, we are able to just stop the Gator line, so they are just forced to set and have a vanilla. Unfortunately, I don't open anything to capitalize. I have an Ash Blossom to kind of slow down the play, but he's able to get a Reed Bear on the field, which is a monster negate. I don't draw what I need. We just scoop up and we go to game number 2. Once again, lots of back row, but no starters. And I forget to click auto toggle to start the anti-spell fragrance before. So that's a misplay on my part for an online Yugioh, but that happens every now and then. What are you gonna do? I can slow the plays, but once again, I don't really get the Marincess line going. I do have my Atlantean line, however, come in and kick into high gear, so awesome. I can get some damage on the field, and yeah, doesn't really bode well for me using the scale, so I just climb up into a marbled rock, hope that I can get something going on here, because my other 2 monsters are kind of dead in the water. But it doesn't matter because my opponent is able to climb up into Ascalon along with a Crystal Wing to negate. And yeah, we lose to Dragunity. Match number 2, we are going up against Trap Trick. We've played this game matchup plenty of times in the past. Now, once again, we're playing with the newer support, so we can see how we can go. We were able to cut them off with a bunch of hand traps that we have in our hand, and we slowly start to climb up. We get Econ, which is an interesting turn, but they scoop up. We go onwards to game number 2. This time around, we don't have any hand traps, so they can set up their lovely, lovely board of Xyz monsters and back row and lightning bolt. But Rafflesia deals with that. We hit our blue tank. Blue tank does get us the search, or the dump, I should say, as well as the search when we link it off. We go ahead and activate our battle ocean, so it gets popped, unfortunately, which was unfortunate because I really wanted to use the dive to help extend from the deck, but it's okay. We can still try to do something, but we get hit with a treacherous trap hole, leaving our board wide open. Essentially, our only saving grace would be to draw a Megalo, but it doesn't matter when our opponent can easily assemble lethal and push for damage. So we move on to game number 3. We open a pretty decent opener until I see Dimension Shifter. Kills us dead in the water. Pun intended. So we kind of just wall up and hope for the best. We try going again this time around. Luckily, we don't get the D-Shifter, but we do get hit with a Grave Driver Trap Hole. Not the end of the world, but we can see we still have a couple of back row that we have to deal with. We are going up for the Toad line that does bait out a Bottomless Trap Hole, so that way we can now climb up into a Marincess Marbled Rock, which then gets us into our Aqua Argonaut. Now we have some Spell and Trap negation on our field, as well as a big Bungus, which is great. Our Effect Veiler hits their Xyz monster, where our Imperm hits their Sarah. But, yeah, we kind of just lose our Argonaut, unfortunately. And this opens up the field. Now we're facing down Rafflesia, and we have our Argonaut return, but now she doesn't have anything to negate. We get Floodgate Trap Hold, and we get Gravedigger Trap Hold, which actually that burns us for game. Match number 3, we are going up against Rescue Ace. I am actually tinkering with this deck. I really like how it plays, so this will be interesting to play against it. But we go first, and our opponent really can't do anything, so we just go ahead and get a pretty strong setup, also with 2 forms of negation, destruction in hand. We end up shooting out a totally awesome. We get our Aqua Argonaut onto the field with a monster, or a spell trap negation. We punch in for a bunch of damage. We take game 1. Game number 2, we're going second. We don't have any hand traps or anything, but we do open a Pankrotop, so we do have something that can help us get back in the game, but we're facing now 4 back row, which is going to be tough. And an IP Masquerena, yeah, I don't think I have enough to push through all of this. We kind of try to bait it out, but it doesn't really work out, so we move on to game number 3. This time we are going first, and we have a decent setup. We use our Coral Triangle to pitch him Atlantean, a little bit of synergy there, so we can get 4 Megalo line, so we can have a Monster Negate equipped to our Abyss Megalo, and a little bit of push damage. We bring out Bubble Reef, and hopefully to draw into a hand trap. Unfortunately, she doesn't, but she's still a big lady. Boom, hits the big Rescue Ace, sets 4, clears out our Megalo, tries to spin away our Bubble Reef. We tag out into Aqua Argonaut and hope for the best. We draw a Battle Ocean, not the worst card in the world. And because Aqua Argonaut's a link 3 or higher, we can use our Marincess traps from the hand as literal hand traps, which is great. Well, we end up bringing back our Coral Nebula as long as we can hopefully revive some monsters that it points to. And we end up doing so. We bring back our Atlantean Prince, sending a marksman to deal with one of the back row. And we start to link climb back up into our Aqua Argonaut. So we have some spell and trap negation. They activate Reinforce to protect that one Rescue Ace that he has on the field from battle damage or card destruction. We activate Goes and Match. So even though all of his monsters are fire, he can't link summon into anything to get rid of them. So all of the nightmares are off limits. All of IP Masquerena, as well, all the nightmares I say except for Phoenix, which is kind of one of the best ones. But still, he actually ends up scooping. So that's
great for us. Now, we move on to match number 4, where we are playing against Drytron. We open absolutely nothing in our hand. I mean, we have a Called by the Grave. That'd be useful for an orange light. But it really depends on what we draw and how much of a nasty board that our opponent can actually build. Chaos Max. I try to get it rid of, but unfortunately he has a Lancia in hand. I can't activate monster effects. So we scoop up, we go to game number 2. We run through our normal Marincess line. We get hit by a DD Crow. Not the worst in the world though, because we do have the extender in hand, so we can still sort of go up. Not to the full extent that we wanted to, but we do search some effect negation, and we also have anti-spell fragrance. Gotta love it. That basically kills his plays dead. Now we can start to go up without having to hopefully worry about any DD Crows. So he sees we bring out that Bahamut, scoops up, we go to game number 3. We try to prevent that Millennium Eyes restrict from dealing with the hand traps, because guess what? We've got quite a few in hand that we can hopefully stop our opponent. We don't have the correct ones. I feel I would have preferred an Ash or a Nibiru, but it wouldn't really matter. So all my hand traps are dealt with, and my opponent continues to pop off. Built a somewhat okay board. We have a Kaiju, but we don't really have anything to capitalize on it. We have a Marincess dive, but that's not enough. I need a little bit more just to really see this build a board. And unfortunately, my opponent's able to get Herald of Perfection out, as well as get the Mube of Fafnir, and runs through the entire Drytron line. Yeah, this is not looking good, and I'm pretty sure that my opponent can easily assemble lethal on field. We lose that match. Our final match for the day, we are going up against Dinosaur. The good old Dinosaur. We lost the die roll, but they made us go first, so lo and behold, we are just going to have to hope that our board that we set up is good enough. We have a lot of hand traps to deal with. Anything that's brought on the field. We end up negating the Overraptor. He beats over our Coral Triangle, sets one, and then passes. We start to link up with our Seahorse, and we go with the standard Marincess playline. We get it back into our Coral Triangle, get some hand traps into hand. We pop their back row, which ends up being a double evolution peel. That's fine by me. I link up into a Bubble Reef, hopefully to draw some stuff, and my opponent ends up scooping. Now we move to game number 2. We're going first again. I sided into going second, figuring that they would try to bait us out, but it ended up not working out that way. So we have a dead Nibiru and Evenly match. However, that might come into play because I only have a Coral Triangle on the field. We end up ashing the double evolution field. I do not want to see Ultimate Conductor Tyranno hit the field. That is a very difficult, annoying card to deal with. He guns up going with the Evolzar instead. So we just have to deal with 2 monster negates. Luckily, he clears his token. I go evenly match. He ends on a Zeus. I summon a Pancratops to take care of the Zeus, but I don't have any follow-up. So I just have to hope that my opponent summons 5. He's obviously waiting for the same from me because he's got that Nibiru in hand as well. I have 2 Kaijus. I have a hand trap. Then finally, Ultimate Conductor Tyranno hits the field. There's the Misc line. Have you read it? Overraptor hits the field. Now we are in a very difficult situation. Zolga hits the field. Now we have a spell trap, special summon negate. Very difficult to deal with. He deals with the Bubble Reef. I deal with that monster. We Kaiju also the Conductor Tyranno. So now we can slowly start to come out of the Marincess line. But we get hit by the rock. Thing is, though, he doesn't have anything right now that's big enough to beat over the rock. He actually ends up scooping, meaning we end on a 2-3 record. First time playing Marincess ever. I've never really played Marincess before, so I'll honestly take that. There's some things that I feel the deck is lacking, but I see a platform where we can build on this potentially.
Well, Am I annoyed that we lost to Dracunity? Of course not. It's one of my favorite decks of all time. Shout out to the last Sealed Only series. Fun time win against Rescue Ace, and then obviously all the other losses that we had to deal with. It's... The deck is there. I clearly see some lines. Now, I think it can be better. I honestly think this was obviously also my FYI. This has been my first attempt at ever playing Marincess. I've never played the deck before. So actually playing this brand new deck with the tiny Atlantean shell that I am familiar with, I don't know, I'm intrigued by this deck. So now I leave this to all of you. Would you like me to continue this as a side quest and maybe one or two, or do you want, we'll build on this a little bit and see how it goes, or do you want me to just revert all the way back to Umi control, how we've been going so far? Which route should we take? Obviously, I'm going to try to play a little more with the Marincess cards, but I may not make that the final deciding factor. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think? Marincess Atlantean? Umi Atlantean? Technically, we could hybridize, but I don't want too many different engines. Not conflicting, but I don't want to draw too many awkward hands with too much mishmashing above. So only 2 decks can really mash. So let me know. Make the finalized build Atlantean Marincess, Marincess Atlantean, or Umi Atlantean. Who knows? In either case, next episode, I think we're going to try to roll a little bit more with the Marincess Atlantean one last time. And if you guys want to see more of it, we will do that. But anyway, thank you all so much for tuning in for today's episode. Sorry for the little bit of a delay. Happens when you're moving. I will catch you in the next episode.